Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, listen, today is Monday, May 20th, 2019. And, we haven't really been watching Deutsche Bank. And Deutsche Bank's not in the news. Nobody's carrying the story. But the situation right now with Deutsche Bank is more dire than it's ever been before. Deutsche Bank shares and stock is dropping lower and lower and lower, and there's no hope for anybody to come along and rescue them. They're too big to fail, and they're too big to rescue at the same time. And so the first thing I'm going to take a look at when I start the charts this morning is I want to take a look at Deutsche Bank and see where their stock is going. I'm going to tell you, it's sneaking up on us. And if Deutsche Bank goes down, it's going to be number one news on the globe. Because Deutsche Bank is a huge bank. The German bank, they've been around forever, and they've grown extensively large through the derivative system. They're one of the biggest banks that's involved in derivatives. And so they could set off a chain reaction within the banking system if they fail. It's a worse situation than Lehman Brothers. It's bigger. When Lehman Brothers failed back in 2008 and started the financial crisis of 2008. This is bigger. Deutsche Bank is bigger. So let's get right in there and let's open up the charts right here. And let's take a look first at Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank stock. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is what Deutsche Bank is doing today. What they're doing today is they're down 2.84%. I've never seen them this low before, 6.65 euro. Now, if we go back a little bit and we take a look at the past month, we can just see that they're just down, down, down. They were up at over 7.6 euro, and we can see as the month has progressed, they've been sliding. Now they're at 6.65. It's actually off of this chart. Right here, this chart only goes down to 6.84. They're descended down off the bottom of this chart at 6.65 right now. 2.88% today alone. And this is why I got Deutsche Bank front and center. Let's take a look at the last 6 months. And you can just see that they did have a low, a 6.75. They've broken that low now. They're at 6.64, the lowest I've ever seen them. How much below 6 can they survive? If they get down to 6, how much below 6 before finally everybody says, hey, you know what? Deutsche Bank's had it and their stock really starts to slide. And we have our Lehman moment. This is my question. I mean, I've predicted that if it goes below 6, and I predicted that a long time ago, that if Deutsche Bank goes below 6, then it's going to start sliding really fast. Nobody is coming in to the rescue now. Nobody is trying to buy these stocks. Everybody is starting to look at them like they're what they really are. Garbage. Let's take a look now at the silver price today. And what we see here is $14.39. Silver's very low in price right now. And actually, when you consider the gold to silver ratio right now, it's really out of whack. Really bad. This is something that is like, it won't last. It won't last very long, and I can't see it intensifying much worse than it is right now, but the gold to silver ratio is so skewed and so out of whack that when it readjusts back to normal again, silver becomes a super value just in that alone, not counting the fact that gold's going to go up in price later. And I know you guys are all waiting to hear when is gold going to go up in price, but the manipulation continues for now. They're manipulating it downwards. Let's take a look at Bitcoin today and see what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin's at $239 today, and excuse me, big error. Okay, market cap at $239 billion. Sorry, not $239. I don't know. I'm going to tell you what. My brain was on something else, and the words were coming out of my mouth. I was thinking about something else, something to do with the financial system and Deutsche Bank. But maybe I shouldn't say it. It's scary what actually could happen with Deutsche Bank, quite seriously. Bitcoin dominance of 57%. You know, the Bitcoin dominance has been really riding high the last little while. It's been all the way up to 60%. Normally it stays around 50%, but we see it falling back. It's fell back a little bit. It's a little bit lower than it was, and that's a good sign. But the cryptocurrency's off just a little bit today. It's down just a little bit today across the board. Ethereum, it's $243. XRP is 38 cents. Bitcoin Cash is $388. EOS is $6.10. Litecoin is $88.69. That was in the 90s last night. Binance Coin $28. Stellar 13 cents. A Cardano is 8 cents. Tron is 2.7 cents, and Monero is $85.03. Dash is $160.62. So that's our top coins for the day. Let's take a look at Bitcoin itself, and let me refresh the page to see which direction it's moving. It's at 77.18 right now, and it's down 2% on the day, but I don't think it's going to dip too much. Bitcoin's going to go along like this for the next little while until it starts to go into the next leg up. And that could be anywhere from probably tomorrow or extended out for 3 months, probably sometime within the next 3 months. It's going to start its next leg up, but it's going to hang around in this area between 6,500 and say 8,000, along in that area, you know, until it gets ready to take its next leg up. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average today, and let me refresh the page so we can see what we're doing. It's down 82 points on the day. The Dow's not making any gains, and it's steadily, relentlessly losing a little bit, you know. What's dangerous with the Dow is if she starts to drop heavily. And we could be heading toward that when the ramifications of these trade deals start to, these trade tariffs and everything start to come into effect, you know, a little bit later on. The realization of the impact of this could start to settle in on the Dow more than it has been. I think that they're basically living in fairy tale land, you know, and that's kept the Dow supported even through all this bad news. But I don't think the impact or the realization of how bad this bad news is has actually come on them yet. It hasn't really dawned on them yet. Let's take a look now at crude oil. Crude oil's been drifting downwards today. We're looking at $62.67. But if we go to the long-term chart, let's go out 5 years. Actually, these charts don't work very well. I don't know why they've changed the charting on this particular page, and the charting really stinks on this particular page right now. Let's take a look at U.S. Treasuries today. And what we're actually seeing here today in Treasuries is we're seeing a mixed bag. The middle of the yield curve is rising a little bit, but the lower end and long end of the yield curve is falling. And there's no really significant numbers. The biggest numbers we're putting in here is probably on the 30-year with a 1 basis point drop in yield. But all the rest, there's nothing really significant in the number changes today. But we are still moving toward this yield curve inversion, which is getting worse because the 30-year is the last holdout in the yield curve inversion, and it's fell a basis point today. Let's take a look at the U.S. dollar index today. We're seeing the dollar kind of dropping off a little bit, just slowly going down a little bit. It's at 97.92. That's kind of on the high side of the range it's been lately, you know. Now, you know, geopolitically, there's an awful lot of hotspots in the world right now, you know. And right now, Iran is one of the hot spots. They're under very close scrutiny by the United States. The United States is got their warships in there, and they're watching them like a hawk. If Iran tries anything, there's going to be trouble. Big trouble. You know? You know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of back that old Clint Eastwood movie years ago. They had a Clint Eastwood movie. I think it was Dirty Harry or one of them. Where Dirty Harry, you know, he had his gun on the guy and he was sitting there like this and he was holding it on him. And he says, "Make my day." That's basically it. That's what it reminds me of, all those warships over there right now, you know? And they're all pointed right at Iran, you know? And it's kind of like that, something out of that movie. It says, "Make my day." Anyway, listen. Thank you guys for listening to this market report. Keep your eye on Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank could be the big one. It topples the whole system into some sort of inflationary depression, you know? And at first, if Deutsche Bank goes down, what we're actually going to see at first is the first gut reaction of it is going to be deflationary. The markets are going to it's going to be a lot of trouble out there. It'll be deflationary though when Deutsche Bank first goes down. But then this will force the hand of the world's central banks to come in and try to stimulate us out of the deflationary funk that'll create. And when they do that, that's when inflation will start to really take off. So a deflationary event is the best trigger you can get for an inflationary event. Now, I know that doesn't really sound rational, but that's the way it actually functions. You know, before the Weimar hyperinflation in Germany, they had the Deutsche Mark, which is the currency that hyperinflated. It could buy more gold, the Deutsche Mark. Not long before the hyperinflation, there was a period of deflation. And this is not uncommon. It's generally this period of deflation that'll trigger a hyperinflation, you know? And so, if Deutsche Bank goes down, it could create a period of deflation that could help trigger or move this process along heading toward hyperinflation. In other words, speed it up. It would only speed up the process. Listen, thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.